I'm Pastor Rhonda Mead, and I'm here today to ask you a question. Do you know your God-given destiny? One more time, do you know your God-given destiny? The last time we were together, we talked about a quote from the late Major Ian Thomas. He stated that God's ultimate goal for us on this earth is to become the visible representation of the invisible God. And if you're out there today and you don't even know Jesus Christ as your Savior yet, God's plan for you is still to become the visible representation of the invisible God. And the first step is to receive Jesus Christ as your Savior. To help us understand Major Thomas's statement today, I want to look at the makeup of a human being. When God formed us in our mother's womb, we were created with a human spirit. We were created with a soul which contains our mind, will, and emotions. And of course, we have a body. So let's look at one scriptural picture of our bodies. In 2 Corinthians 4:7, we see, "But we have this treasure in earthen vessels, so that the surpassing greatness of the power will be of God and not from ourselves." Let's read that one more time. "But we have this treasure in earthen vessels, so that the surpassing greatness of the power will be of God and not from ourselves." In this verse, our bodies are called earthen vessels. So our bodies are called earthen vessels. We need bodies to function on this earth. Bill Gilhelm used to call them our earth suits. In other words, what would it be like if we didn't have bodies to relate to one another? I realize there is spirit-to-spirit communication, but realistically, the bodies are much more functional. So just imagine if we didn't have bodies. So the Lord gave us earthen vessels. He gave us earth suits, our bodies, in order to relate with each other. In 2 Corinthians 4:7, the Apostle Paul made a point of saying that since we are only earthen vessels, and that's what the Lord is calling us, these words were inspired by the Apostle Paul, that since we are only earthen vessels, the surpassing greatness in any of us is from the power of God that is within us, and never from ourselves. And that's very important to remember. We don't want to walk around in false humility, but at the same time, pride is deadly, and we certainly do not want to be proud. Each believer has all the life of Christ within them. We didn't receive just a part of Jesus Christ when we received Him as our Savior, but we received all of the life of Christ within our Savior. So this treasure that is Jesus in us, this treasure is more powerful than we can imagine. When the treasure is allowed to permeate our lives, it is so powerful that even the vessel starts to change and starts to appear like the treasure. We are gradually conformed to the image of Christ. Let's go over that process again. When we received Jesus Christ as our Savior, we were crucified with Christ that the body of sin might be destroyed, that henceforth we would not serve sin. And then we were raised to newness of life, which is the life of Christ. Every believer has all of the life of Christ within them, whether we can understand this with our mortal minds or not. And the treasure within us then is more powerful than we can imagine. And so when we allow that treasure within us to permeate our mind, will, and emotions, to permeate our body, we are conformed to the image of Christ. Obviously, our bodies are not conformed, but our mind, will, and emotions are conformed to the image of Christ. And our bodies are affected in positive ways by the power of God within us. Secondly, the treasure is like radioactivity. When it is allowed free access, it changes everything that it touches. Even people we come in contact with, our families, our friends, the people in the store. The treasure is like radioactivity. And when it's allowed free access in our bodies, it changes everything it touches. Just think of how powerful that is. So remember, you are a spirit being who has a soul, your mind, will, and emotions, and who lives in a body, which is just an earthen vessel. And if you are a child of God, Jesus lives in you. He is our life. When Christ, who is our life, shall appear, we shall appear also with him in glory. And that glory doesn't mean heaven after Jesus comes. That glory means we will be glorified from the treasure affecting our mind, will, and emotions. One more time, you are a spirit being who has a soul, who lives in a body. And if you are a child of God, Jesus lives in you. I want to thank you for being with us today. If you would like more information on the Exchanged Life, my first book, The Exchanged Life, The Revelation of Jesus Christ in You, is available at our ministry website, and that is www.newlifeoutreach.us. That's www.newlifeoutreach.us. And I want to thank you for being with us, and I'll see you next time.